Well, we've already got to know each other, but I'm Eleanor. I'm the editor of TMI, so that's Treasury Management International magazine, which I'm sure some of you will know and some of you will have appeared in already. So I've been writing about corporate treasury for 15 years and seen a lot of evolution of technology in that time, and the entrance of all the fintechs into the space, which has really shaken things up. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is the kind of value that fintechs can add for corporate treasurers, moving away from just having an Excel sheet that you're controlling everything on, and opening up some different avenues. So we'll look at the opportunities there, but we'll also think about the human side of things and how does it impact treasurers in terms of their role strategically. So that's what we're going to be looking at. More than happy to have questions from you throughout. So if there's something burning, just put your hand up. We will leave a little bit of time for questions towards the end as well, but we really want it to be interactive, and to hear from you as well. And to help us sort of navigate this landscape, we have these three wonderful panelists, and I will ask them just to briefly introduce themselves. So Dominic, do you want to start?
Yep. Hi, everyone. My name is Dominic Lynch. Currently, I'm the head of treasury at GoStudent. It's an ed tech unicorn in Vienna. Currently, I've been designing their treasury from the ground up for 1 year over that. I've been in the industry for nearly 8 years. It's my second unicorn, actually, of designing a treasury model for. Prior to that, I was also doing the other unicorn in Vienna, which is the crypto neo broker Bitpanda, where I was designing a treasury ALM model for the ground up and dealing with the great compliance topics that crypto bring in there, and also dealing, I'd say, a lot in the fintech area there. And also then prior to that, I was doing a lot on treasury risk management, derivative consulting in EMEA and North America. I'm also the member of ACTA, the Austrian Association of Corporate Treasurers, where I'm on the working group for IBOR reform, as well as for the technology working group. I also have my own startup called Value Block, where we are trying to give a solution of valuations to retail customers to give them easier clarity and insight into projected mortgage payments in the future as interest rates are going up. We want to give people more insight into financial planning.
Great stuff, thank you. And COSMIN probably need no introduction, but let's have one anyway.
So I'm co-founder and CEO of Finqware, one of the companies that is new to, it's put to implement different technologies in the treasury management ecosystem, helping the companies do better with their figures, with their money, with their banks, and aspiring to lead and create a new SaaS category called TMA, Treasury Management Automation.
Yeah.
So my name is FIRDA. I'm working at CITI for many, many years, so I'm not even mentioning that. But I'm quite new in Romania. I moved here like 12 months ago. Thank you for inviting me here. Over the past 5-6 years, I'm leading within CITI a team of people who are usually talking around like corporate treasury transformations, implementing a lot of different products. As well as besides being at CITI, I try to be quite active in technology space. So we are cooperating a lot across CE with fast-growing companies, with a lot of other partners. So we're looking forward to discussion today.
Great stuff. Thanks, Jan. So because we're not all treasurers in the room, we're just going to kick off just to set the scene a little bit with Dominic. Hopefully you can just quickly explain for the audience what Treasury does, and also because we're looking at this transformation angle, what might a typical Treasury tech setup look like today without the benefit of all of the fintech that we'll be talking about?
Sure. So I guess the main characteristics of Treasury is cash management, liquidity management to begin with. Getting money in the right place at the right time, in the right currency is mainly our bread and butter that we do. And then additionally to that, we can be dealing with other items such as we are usually the primary financial risk managers in the organization, depending on the size and scale of your sector and industry. And with that, then that can be anything from projections of different types of risk categories, interest rate risk, FX risk, commodity risk, credit risk in some areas as well. And we deal with trading. The main items that we deal with from an applications point of view is good old Microsoft Excel. Would be the good boundaries of where we try and strive to get away from doing liquidity forecasting in. Second, definitely what we see as the main application that we'll never get away from is our banks, and really using them for everything for transaction management, in some cases trading as well, and also other certain type of back office activities. Additionally to that as well, if you're getting up to size and scale, we're typically dealing with treasury management systems as well, which is mainly us centralizing our payments network within the organization, speaking to other different banks we have globally as well in order to centralize transaction management, as well as then dealing with other risk management items such as everything to do with hedging, hedge accounting. And then as well with that, sometimes we'll have then other trading applications on that side too. ERP systems as well are core items that we also use in our data work stream. And if we're lucky enough as well, we also will be working sometimes with business intelligence applications, Power BI, Tableau, etc.
Excellent stuff. It's quite often pretty fragmented, the treasury landscape in terms of technology, particularly if you're looking at big legacy organizations. So there's one treasurer I know, she works for a huge organization. It has 140 different ERP implementations. So they're using APIs at the moment, but that kind of gives you an idea of the complexity that's out there and the scale. And this is where some of the fintechs can come in and help as well. Dominic, you're a treasurer, but you've worked in industries that are maybe a little bit edgier than some, shall we say. Treasurers tend to be quite conservative by nature, which is exactly what you want with someone who's looking after your money. You don't want them to be taking massive risks, but they can be a little bit staid. So what's your experience with fintech? Are you working with them? What do your peers feel about working with fintechs?
Sure. So I would have been a typical conservative, very pessimistic treasurer to start off with. I was brought over to the religion of fintech when I started working in the crypto industry because there wasn't that many players you would deal with, and I would never go back. The amount of insight, of evolution in how you can transform data with the collaboration of fintechs is truly amazing. As a treasurer, and having worked previously in consulting, the amount of terrible data you dealt with, which you had to cleanse, and then you would find out legacy issues, which you would have to deal with, whether with your auditors, well, myself, not with mine, but with my clients, was always a very big headache. And time is money, and risk can get very big very quickly. And what a lot of fintechs enabled us to do was find a lot of innovative solutions. For example, one item which we discovered inside my current company and my previous organization is the best type of technology is actually a stakeholder in the company, which is your data scientists. These guys, speaking to them, and also sometimes product managers, allow you and enable you to really see what are you missing. So for example, if you're just a typical treasurer, when you think of a bank, you think of a user interface where you're just putting in payments, you're getting 53 bank statements out of, you're dealing with then transaction monitoring, where is the status, payment confirmations, where is my $1.5 million transaction in the flow, because it's all to do with timing. And with that, you then end up looking to your developers or your data engineers and saying, hey, you're wasting 1 or 2 FTEs here looking for payment transactions and you're not getting notified. So you have to keep clicking in 2FA, times out every 30 seconds. And then your lovely data engineer comes over to you and says, hey, the bank, transactions, sending out to customers the transaction confirmation. The system, you're saving yourself a lot of time there. There are a lot of hesitations as well with treasurers. Like, we're dealing with financial due diligence, we're dealing with quality controls, because we are the last people in the system for money going in and out of the company. And so we deal with a lot of also huge cybersecurity risks, and we do have to take a balanced approach at what we're doing. Like, with the right business case and with the right, I'd say, reassurance, is we don't have to get stuck in quality control documents like SSAE, 18 SOC controls. We can combine a decent amount of security and IT due diligence and financial due diligence in order to get through these. But I'd say you need to come with the right business case for us to really go in. Yeah. But within, maybe to summarize it as well, after getting into it, working with some fintechs in bank connectivity and also in, I'd say, data analysis, really has had great transformation to my treasury department.
Great stuff. We will talk about those risks a little bit more later on, particularly the sort of counterparty risk concern, which is big post SVB. But Jan, it would be good to hear from you and understand your relationship with fintechs in terms of CITI, but also what do you think fintechs can bring to the treasury party that is transformative, that's different from what the banks can offer?
Yeah. So let's start with what fintechs or around the relationship among us and fintechs. Someone might be seeing us as the competitors. We are banks, fintechs are doing the same. I'm viewing it a little bit differently. Many fintechs, we are having a lot of others than competitors, predominantly partners.
Is this saying it's better not to be a fish to understand what an aquarium is? So when you are looking from outside to both treasurers and the corporate bankers, we are hearing them, what they are saying, but then we go in their offices and we see this box of tokens, and we see that there is, our biggest competitor is Excel, invented by Microsoft 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and the fact that up to the different thing, there are this digital transformation that Jan told us about is still an ongoing. And what we can do as fintechs is to, push the things, make it happen, accelerate this, put our heads, fire up the rooms, and then say, guys, there are things that can be done much more easily with the technologies that our developers know from 15 years ago.
Just to add on to that, I think one other very interesting insight is you can bring treasury is the instant connection into the finance area of fintech getting in, but the treasurer, the poor guy, he has to deal. He's in the middle. He's upstream. He's midstream. He has to deal with the shit downstream of accounting as well. And it's all about also making that strong business case as well to the other stakeholders, because the biggest nightmare I have as a treasurer, and it's been with me since day one, is reconciliation, and having to deal with that being either in treasury in a back office operation or dealing with an accounting. We have a lot of as well financial technology that really brings a huge working capital efficiency, such as one that's been out for quite some time is let's say instant cash concentration with virtual accounts. Most accountants, let alone, don't know what a treasurer actually does. So when you come to them about virtual accounts, it's like the devil's work. So then when you're also trying to bring on board maybe a type of technology and get them on board and also build out processes, controls, and procedures and make the business case for them and also the use cases, it's a huge amount of work, and it's also part that you have to also bring the wider finance area into the community.
So it's easier to stay with the tokens and with the Excel in this case, yeah? We also saw this because you were saying your own personal experience. you as a young treasurer could do that shift, working for Big Panda, guys like Big Panda, that shift from, the old traditional way of mindset of a treasurer to the new one, fintech religion guy. Yeah. The point is, most of the financial guys right now in the market are still very reluctant because they have their own habits in working with that tokens. And this is another challenge of the digital transformation, which is not done by budgets. It's not done by the technology. It's done by the habits of the people.
It's psychology, and it's like, as I mentioned before, religion. A lot of finance stakeholders, you have to be like the Catholic Church with them, which is pain, suffering first, and then they see the error of their way. So you can be very prospective on these items, and it's really a huge amount of, I'd say, communication, reintegrating the dream, the focus point, and showing it to them. That's a very big item. Like, for example, let's talk about, I'd say, virtual accounts. This is something which is having a lot of insights and information, but if you've been doing something as a status quo in many different industries, and then you're brought into a huge financial revolution, which is having huge amount of working capital efficiencies as well, there has to be a very strong re-embedded focus through all different types of stakeholders. This is very, very critical in order to drive that change.
What are your thoughts around where fintechs could help treasurers with particular challenges? Are there any that you see that are ripe for fintechs to step into that we haven't mentioned already?
No. Especially really, as I mentioned, from my point of view, is really to bring it to the wide population of companies, and especially when you are looking what we are really dealing with. So when you are looking for a transformation or what you can do within Treasury, you are looking for three things. Number one is put the visibility. I know it sounds like a very simple thing, but a lot of companies still do not even know where the money sits.
Yep.
So that's number one, where the fintechs can help a lot. And then they're much more flexible than us, like big banks, to bring that solutions much quicker. Number two is to take control over that money. And control is not meaning really sending it from one place or making some bulk payments, but really taking control over reconciliation, taking control over frauds, taking control around your and subsidiaries that you are having across different countries. So that's control, and only after that, that's the beauty in automation, and then that would be the most important part for fintech.
Yeah, you're so right on that. The cash visibility point. It seems silly if you're someone who works outside of Treasury to think that organizations can't just click a button and see where all of their cash is. But we work.
But they can with the new Treasury systems.
But if you
easier said than done, Cosmin. Being a treasurer, you also become a very invalid part of the company. Like, I am power of attorney of a lot of different entities because that is the only way I'm going to get any type of large bank to give me control power over accounts in a different location, because it's mainly how you're dealing with the authorities.
Yeah. And there are certain locations that are very, very difficult to deal with. So someone like a Microsoft Treasury team, obviously they're super sophisticated. They've got 40 people working in their Treasury. They've just done a cash visibility project. They're now up to 95% cash visibility. But if you think of 5% of Microsoft cash, that's a hell of a lot of cash not to know where it is. So that just gives you an idea at the top level. But I did promise the audience that we talk a little bit about the human side of things and the role of the treasurer. So how do you see fintechs enabling treasurers to actually become more strategic and to improve, like you said, Dominic, their relationships with other stakeholders? How can fintechs go and assist in that? Dominic, do you want to keep going?
Yes, I think it's Dominic is right now waiting for me to give the ball first. So first of all, also from outside, what I see is that there is, the real value creation in treasury management is done by the decision the treasurer takes. So if you can prepare the treasurer decision as good as you get, with the data he needs in an instant way, with the reports, the pre-decision reports that he needs in an instant way, then the real value that is created by the treasurer can be maximized, because he can use his time to do decision or to have a coffee between two important decisions.
Sorry, I have to ask what the question was exactly now to just have it exactly on point. Okay. Trying to get away from operations has been a dream of my.
I was mentioning the coffee, you know, it's like just anchor this.
Yeah. I think the main point is really working with the banking partners. That's let's concentrate on the main items of treasury. Like, if working already with the banking partners is a very important and time-consuming item of a treasurer. And if fintechs are understanding how the behavior, understanding as well how these items work from a process perspective, it can very much quickly enable treasurers to go and become a more strategic partner in the organization. For example, if we're dealing with a situation where let's even talk about Excel for a moment. If we're having the situation where we're having adapters in Excel to give us the cash visibility that we need, then that's already allowing us as myself to make interest optimization right now, which has been something that a lot of companies haven't thought about for a very long time. I'll just leave it like that, because I'm going to go on to different items.
Thank you.
Do you want to add anything?
Maybe from a little bit different angle, you know, because we are talking what the fintechs can do, or how to live together with the treasurer. But you know, treasurer is not like a man or a woman within the organization that is doing all that stuff and reports for himself or herself. Predominantly, he's preparing that for the company to make that correct decision. So it's not only how to help or how to create that some symbiosis between like fintech or banking or bank and treasurer, but especially how to automate things to make correct decisions within company.
And on the subject of making correct decisions, that probably brings us nicely onto ChatGPT and AI and ML. We've heard it spoken about in a lot of the sessions earlier this morning. And there are some very advanced treasuries that are leveraging AI, leveraging chatbots. So I spoke to the treasurer of Alibaba about a year or so ago, and they've got an in-house chatbot for treasury that they just ping their payments queries to, and it comes back via the chatbot, and it's saved them basically the work of one full-time person. So there's a lot of interesting things going on. But Dominic, let's hear from you in terms of what you think AI, ML could bring to treasury.
So first thing that I saw is mainly is that it's a danger. I think that when I saw that my CEO had been replicated physically, not into a Balenciaga YouTube catwalk, but himself speaking about mathematics and then having it voice recognized, first thing I thought about was, okay, how long will it be till one of my team or one of the other finance stakeholders is getting a call from someone from Nigeria to try and get a transaction approved? Because for us in Treasury, we are usually typically we've definitely become one of the most concentrated stakeholders or actors in the organization for getting a lot of fraudulent activity occurring. So for us as well, with the innovations of AI, especially with ChatGPT, there have already been some issues that we've seen in the market from some key players where their data was fed into an AI model and then was spat out, and company secrets were divulged. But that's one side of the coin. It's also something that's very beneficial. We already see it a lot. Seeing some AI in liquidity forecasting has been a buzzword for some time now. And like right now, for us as well as being a unicorn company, we have also OKRs where we are bringing in artificial intelligence, and there can be a huge amount of insights that it gives, and also timing efficiencies for automation as well. So, for example, the way that we're doing it right now is we're now feeding all of our liquidity data points and transactional activity via different categories into a data lake with Microsoft. And we're then building out then different AI, different models, whether via regression analysis, whether via machine learning capabilities, to actually see how far we are getting in accuracy to our cash actuals based on historical data items. And it is already bringing a lot of value. It's also helping us organize, I'd say, payment inconsistencies that you can sometimes have. So it's really, from a working capital perspective, showing some very, very good ways. It's just about ensuring it's in a closed environment. I think there's still a lot of great capabilities to come with AI. It's an open box. Obviously, we're as a treasurer, we're looking at it from a risk perspective as well. Threats like AML compliance as well. There's a lot of very extreme cases that it's being used as a way to trick, but it's also being used as well by a lot of the main banks as well, where we can already see a lot of great data coming through. That's also with payment service providers in how to tackle fraud and improve our transaction success rate. Does anyone else want?
I want to take on this because I also have these more practical thing, because we just have a meeting, all hands meeting, 3 days ago in Cluj-Napoca, where is part of our team from Finqware, and we had quite a discussion on how we want to strategically handle AI, because being an aggregator of data for the corporates, we already have the data. So, okay, AI engines will be democratized, but we already have the data. The companies that are using us have all their banking accounts data in their secure data lake. And then what are the things that we should drive in the market in order to make it effective? There are two things that we learned, at least two things. First of all, we are still not at the quality of the data so that we can feed properly an AI engine. The data is crappy yet, so we are still needing a stage in which we need to make it more usable, although we have it for the AI machines. The second thing is that most of the use case, and this was from one of our technical senior guys, most of the use cases that we are thinking right now are not something that couldn't be done 10 years ago. So it's not something that, it's more like a marketing hype on AI, but most of the things could have been done 10 years ago with the technologies on that.
Yeah.
And this is something that we are looking right now, and the technical guys are telling to me, so look, this is something that we can done without ChatGPT launch. Yeah, so what the heck? And there is an additional point which is important, and I'm happy to hear that GoStudent is sharing the data with Microsoft, because it is in Azure, by the way. So it's not like sharing somewhere else. It's still in the same data center. It's not that you're sharing in another place. But there are still some concerns that we are taking it very responsible, related to the way in which what the AI learns on your data can be externalized to some other entities. And this is something that we really don't know how to control it at this point. And it's important for us to make it as responsible as possible when we implement a new technology.
That's the thing, yeah. The responsible AI is the key, and it's so difficult, and the ethical interests in it all as well. Jan, clients asking you about AI, and is CITI heavily involved in AI development?
I would agree with COSMIN that it's not that AI is here with like GPT coming in. You know, for several years, we are having already a system that is fully capable to do automated hedging for companies, for example. So it's not, it is something new coming in. The question is, what would be the next? AI would be playing like more and more important role. And that roles might be having like two sides. So what we are predominantly asked is like how it will be like in terms of security, how it will be in terms of risk management, because all of that automated processes are bringing also additional risks. So that's one big topic. From other side, there is a lot of positives coming in, and the major one, I'm not looking really for new products, but number one, I'm putting improved communication, and by improved communication is how we are looking to the data. So lot of things might be processed automatically. I will give you an example. Within like sales team we are having. That like salesman who is working can fully get like all the data, nearly whole presentation ready, analysis of the company in advance, with all the flows around all the globe. That is what to talk with treasury, what to talk with CEO, what to talk like with CFO, what to talk to accountants, purely because we as a bank are managing the whole flows. So that's like that positive things, and we can leverage that communication part a lot across company, across fintechs, across banks, across ourselves as a community.
One thing where we are able to use ChatGPT right now, and it's really transformed, I'd say, the quality of life in Treasury in my team, is that we feed it payment files, and with obviously no transaction data in it that's sensitive, but mainly like one of the biggest pain points we have as Treasury is that we're dealing with multiple different payment files over multiple different jurisdictions with multiple different banks. We have ISO 222 as a standard, but it is by far not a standardized process, and it is literally one of the main, I'd say, journeys a treasurer always has to do in many different cases. And what we also have to deal with is the infrastructure in handling different stakeholders and making them able to do payments automatically in a secure way. So what we have is we've been implementing for 1 year a treasury management system, and at the same time also a ERP system. And connecting the dots together of this takes a huge amount of time, a lot of consulting work, and literally you can't wait around for this because it's a huge risk. And what we did was we actually fed the documentation of our ERP vendor to ChatGPT-4. We then also fed it the documentation of the PAIN-001 format, which it already had taken previously from its data sets that had already been fed by OpenAI. And we were able to basically, after 2 attempts, get a successful payment test complete, which is, I'd say, was a huge game changer to us within 2 days.
Wow, brilliant stuff. Amazing. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more use cases coming out like that. Just going to pause quickly. We've got a couple of minutes. Does anyone have any questions or observations from the floor? Yeah.
Do we have another mic? Do you have another mic here? For the no.
Hi, so maybe I'm going to try a short question on each front. So for you, Dominic, clearly when API came, it came with a lot of benefits, especially from the real versus batch type of payment. And here is where the biggest value added is. So out of curiosity for your companies that you've worked for and so on, which are the use cases where you would use most the instant payment types Because clearly you have a vendor that you need to pay in 30 days. You're not really that uncomfortable paying him at 9 in the morning or later in the afternoon, so on and so forth. But I believe this instant angle is becoming more and more important in the day of a treasurer. And from your perspective, how do you see this? Where are you feeling this need of paying out instantly, getting quicker all this information as well back? My payments have been released, an incoming has come in, and so on.
Sure. Well, first off, instant payments, I love it. Not because of the business models of my company, but it's really the fact of, getting the most out of my working capital on a weekly basis, right? If I can delay, if I can do very good budgetary control and leave it to the last minute to pay a vendor, that gives me, and not wait one to 2 business days if I'm, depending on which market I am in, obviously, that's really a good optimization of interest for me if I'm putting it into overnights now, because it's definitely there. And also as well, it's also, in receivables, this is the next thing that I hope as well. The recent announcements as well that the EU did yesterday is going to improve this in the way forward. The big problem we have as organizations is knowing where the money is as well. Like Swift, okay, they've been a great founder. They were the ones who did the backbone, but now we're still very much behind in understanding where the money is in the infrastructure, where is it stuck, and do we need to give extra documentation because of some AML item that has come up, and also being able to give our services as well, so that we don't have any, also, I'd say, chargeback risk or also fraudulent activity that we could have on our platform. So if I have €100 subscription, let's say, for a tutoring lesson, okay, I want to give that customer straight away the service, but I also want to ensure that I have credited and balanced that funds. If it's going to be a SEPA direct debit and I'm doing an SDD core, it could be between 5 to 10 business days till I'm actually getting that cash through the door. What do I want? I want to be able to have a simple customer conversion, having one-click open banking to get that money in the door and also verify that customer transaction. That's like really, what I'd say to instant payments. It's definitely something that we need in Treasury because it improves the performance of the organization's liquidity as well as the guarantee, I'd say, in our products as well that we're giving out.
Super.
You had some more questions? Or?
Thank you very much. I wanted to build on that and to ask actually COSMIN, because this is happening at the...
Have we got time? Are you happy to run over a little? Yeah.
This is happening at the national level, usually with the instant payments. But what about going internationally? So all these instant payments and API can really unlock the world and all the companies that want to go abroad, when you can make a GPI payment from here to Japan and the guy can see it in 5 to 10 seconds through the whole chain of banks and so on. So what do you feel the community, and here I believe you're one of the best persons positions, let's say, to do so and so on, even at an European Commission level and so on. How can we all increase this automation, all the linkages between countries and so on, so that we can make this happen at a broader scale?
First of all, at the European Commission level, in the interaction that I had in the past, in my capacity of a board member of European Digital Finance Association, and I saw a real preoccupation or a real concern of how we can accelerate these payment rails so that the companies can move faster the money. And there is this regulation that it will be more and more enforced for euro money, instant payments in euro for SEPA. But the point is, you still have this issue of outside the EU zone, and then that comes with more and more complexities. But if you're thinking forward to the new CBDCs and the new rails of the digital currencies, then that is the real question. And we have here at Unchain, we have Ripple, for example, which is one of our partners. Yeah. So they are one of the pioneers in finding solutions so that the money can flow instantly between the globe. Because there is still a legacy, let's put it like this, in the current ecosystem of moving money. Although we have a globalization of lots of industries, the money are still very lazy when moved from one place to another. That's the point. So the fintechs will come, but you know the not that good news is that there is something that moves very, very, very slow. So all these things are moving very slow. Just think of ISO MT 940 disappearing. So it is a file system that was invented in 1977. I wasn't born at that time, and
You're
right
very young.
now, the banks, the SWIFT is pushing the banks, yeah, to get out of MT 940, and the banks are saying, look, we still have need some more time because so this is the way. So it's like building a pyramid. I have my kid here, 7, 8 years old, so maybe he will see some things that we are speaking about here.
Super. Thank you very much. I can if you want.
You're good. No, don't worry. We'll wrap up quickly. I just wanted a really succinct, I'm looking at you, COSMIN, comment from all of the panelists about where do you see the future of fintech and treasury? What would you like it to be? How do we get there in one sentence? Where's the future of fintech and treasury, and how do we get there? How do we need to collaborate to make it work?
I'm trying to think, but maybe the one that would be really for me, with all that coming, like, and trying to move the money faster, I'm expecting them like to come up with much more new products.
COSMIN?
So let's do it. That's it. So I don't have some advices. Let's do it.
Okay.
For me, if I'm to think about it in the future, just keep doing what it's doing right now, bringing in, I'd say, integration into legacy systems and bring it in with transformation, which can be acceptable to current established setup that you have in Treasury, and then let it take over. It's like as COSMIN mentioned there, onto MTs and ISO 222. Like this always takes a long time, but slowly but surely industry adoption takes over, and then that's the next leap into the fintech space.
And I think as a treasurer, the best thing you can do is just to be curious and to ask those questions. And what is the art of the possible today, and get away from your drawer of tokens. If you do want to see a little bit more about what's going on with fintech in treasury, COSMIN is up next, I think, aren't you? And you're going to be presenting.
I will skip it. You know why? Because most of the people here in the room knows already what I'm trying to do. But
Okay,
let's go directly, because we are ahead of the time.
Okay.
Let's go directly to the next panel. But first of all, I want to thank you, Eleanor, for being here, and for the whole actions that treasury management is doing into pushing these new technologies in treasury management. And yeah, everybody should know that this panel was powered by Treasury Management International. Just click on treasurymanagementinternational.com and download their application, because you have a very good resource to know the new things in treasury management. Like, hopefully we'll have more of Treasury Management International presence in Romania.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm thinking
absolutely.
of something. I have some ideas. I want to know if Christy's here, because we can go to the other panel.
Oh,
And right now,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much, you guys.